So I'm going to give you 3 things, and I'm going to try to hurry because I really want you to go out and do this. But the first thing is I want you to expect big things when you leave. You see, Ryan and I have been traveling all over the country the last few months, preaching and teaching about reckless love, right? And some churches we go to, people just sit out there and just like stare at us like, who are you guys? Why are you here? But then in other churches, crazy, big God things happen, right? Like he and I were in Beverly Hills, California, just a few months ago. And we get there and we walk into church and instantly like you can just feel God. Oh man, there's something about this church. And when we walked in, the first thing they said was, oh, you guys look like Timon and Pumbaa. I was like, he doesn't look like a pig at all. Whatever, man. He was way off. But it was cool. So we get there and we're preaching and we preach together. And I don't normally do this, but I just felt at the end, I was like, hey, if anybody needs prayer after church, Ryan and I will stay here and we'll pray with you. Well, church ended and the whole church lined up. Like not one person left. I was like, I wanted lunch, but I guess we'll pray for you. I thought like maybe 1 or 2 would stay. So everyone lines up, and the very first girl in the line walks up with a limp, like a bad limp, tears already in her eyes. And she says, I'm a ballet dancer, and I've torn my Achilles tendon, or there was a tendon in her foot that she had torn. She's like, I can't dance anymore. Well, Ryan, this dude is like a powerhouse when it comes to praying for healing. Like, without a doubt, he's like, okay, and like gets his hand on her ankle, and he's like going to town praying. I'm like, oh, yeah, in Jesus' name, absolutely. I got my hand on her shoulder, and Ryan's just killing it, like, best prayer I've ever heard. And he keeps asking her, like, do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? And she's like, no. And God said, Kelly, tell her to walk to the back of the church and then come and tell you how she feels. And I said, no way. There's no way I'm going to do that. If she walks back there and comes up and says she don't feel nothing, there's 50 more people in line that think I'm an idiot. Like, there's no way I'm going to do that. I'm like, God, Ryan's got it. Listen how good that is. You hear that word he said? I don't even know what that means. And God said, no, tell her. So eventually I was like, man, I think that God wants you to, walk to the back of the church and then come tell me how you feel. I don't know. I think that's what you should do. Like, instantly she starts limping back there, like, all the way to the back. And I'm like, oh God, please show up. She gets back there, like sweat's running down my face. She gets to the back of the church and she starts jumping up and down. Yeah. She sprints all the way back to the front. And she said, I'm healed. I'm completely healed. Every single person in that line after that either got healed or God had a word for them or God showed up for every single person in that line. It was phenomenal. I have never experienced such power like that. The next day we get on the airplane to fly back home, and I was just reflecting on everything, and I was like, God, what is the difference? Why at this church do you show up so strong? And why at other churches do we go and they just stare at us? Like there's nothing going on. They're like, who are these guys? I said, God, why the difference? And here's what God said. He said, it's expectation. He said, what you expect is what you're going to get. If you come to church expecting to sit in your regular seat, get a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, high-five your friend, get a cool line to tweet from your pastor and go home, guess what? You got it. That's for you. Enjoy. Or you can come to church expecting God to show up radically and to heal what's broken and to mend things that aren't working and to bless you financially and to show up and change your life radically. You can get that too. And guess what? That don't just work on Sunday. That works on Monday too. Oh, you go to school and your friend's like, hey man, what happened to your ankle? I was playing basketball, I sprained it. That sucks. See you in history. Why? Why not say, oh yeah, well guess what? My God is a healer. Not only he is a healer, he is the healer. And the power that's in him is the same spirit that's in me. So in Jesus' name, you are healed. You go ahead and walk good to history. Why don't we do that? Oh, I didn't know. Well, now you know. When you leave today, you expect God to show up. I expect him to show up everywhere I go, and guess what? He does. I've been in 7-Eleven and God just showed up and said, that girl right there, pray for her, tell her this right now. Every time. and it's always exactly what they need. All you got to do is step out and expect him to show up, and he will. So that's the first thing I want you to remember when you leave today. When you go out there and hand out these white cards, you expect God to show up. It's going to bless you, I promise you.
Yes.
The second thing I want you to take, I don't even know how I want to begin this for you. Have you ever had like one of the worst days of your life? Like ever? Like you're just miserable? Okay. 2 weeks ago, I was having one of those days. Right? It was the worst. Like miserable. So I finally get in bed. I put my 2-year-old in his crib. He goes to sleep. I'm like, yes, all right. I get in my pajamas. I lay down in bed and I realize, you left your daughter at cheer practice. Like, all right, so I get back up, get dressed, go get my baby out of the bed, put him in the truck. He's crying. I go to pick up my daughter. I get her, and she's like, hey, I'm hungry. Of course you are. Of course you're hungry. She's like, where do you want to go? Chick-fil-A. Absolutely, the only place that has 80 cars at any time in Tulsa. All right. So we go to Chick-fil-A. 80 cars in line. I am miserable. My baby's crying. She's hungry. And I look down, and I see a Y card in my console of my truck. And I know that anytime you're in a horrible funk, just bad mood, the fastest way out is to go bless somebody else. You go help somebody else out of their situation, you just instantly, miraculously come out of yours. It is amazing how it works. So I tell my daughter, I say, hey, what do you say we pay for the car behind us? And she says, yeah, but what if it's a birthday party and it's like $100? Like knowing that it's not, I'm like, well, that's what God wants to do. That's what he's going to do. We're going to pay it. And you see, she knows that about 3 months ago, God called me to full-time ministry. So I don't have a regular job. I only make money through people donating to Reckless Love or when I go and speak at churches. So she knows that I don't have a lot of money. But we pull up there, we get to the window, and I tell the lady, hey, I want to pay for the car behind us. She's like, cool, it's like $6. I'm like, I told you. I hand her the card and I realize there's one more card, one left. And God said, hey, pay for the other card too. So I said, hey, let me go ahead and get that card behind them too. And the lady goes, oh, are you sure? So that was like $46. I was like, $46 is like $1 million to me. And right in that moment, like in an instant, I had this thought that what if Jesus looked at the cross and said, that's too much. I'm out. I can't afford that. I'm not paying for that. That's gonna hurt too bad. I don't love them that much. Oh no. And in that moment, I realized that when you decide to love people recklessly and you find out the cost, you pay it. It doesn't matter what the cost is. Jesus didn't almost die for you, he did. No matter what it is, when you decide to do this, when you decide to walk in love, no matter what the cost you run into, you know that it's worth it. If Jesus' life was worth dying for them, and whatever the cost is for you is equally worth it. Don't ever let the cost of something, and I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about your time, your energy, your emotions. The cost is always worth it when it comes to sharing Jesus with somebody. If this whole world had a virus and was sick and dying, but you had an unlimited cure and you knew how to heal them, would you give it to them? Why aren't you? This whole world is sick and dying. There's either heaven or hell. You have the key to get everyone to heaven. Why aren't you sharing it with them? You can. It's your job. You're going to today. I just want you to see it that way. See it as what you hold is so precious and so valuable and so good that you can't hold on to it for yourself. You've got to give it away. And the very last thing I want to send you out with, and this is probably the most vital, this is why I couldn't figure out which one of these to end with, that one or this one. I think this one for you guys is going to be the most powerful. It's recognizing the power of one. The power of one, man. Sometimes we see something or we see somebody and we're like, it's not really going to benefit me. It's not going to benefit them if I do something for them. If I talk to them, give them something. What benefit is there? right? You never know what one person can do. You never know. It only takes one person to set your whole world on fire. You spending just a couple of minutes showing love to somebody may be the key that knock down all the walls in their heart, that they finally see Jesus and they go and start something so big it infects the entire world. I get it. We want to see our city change. Well, that starts one person at a time. Never underestimate that one person at school. That one person you see walking down the street. That one person that just needs a hug. Maybe they just need to listen. Maybe they just need you to listen to them. Talking to people about Jesus isn't always some big Philippians 4:13 over your life. God told me to tell you. It doesn't have to be big and profound. Be like, hey man, I love you. God loves you. How you doing? It may be as simple as that. You see, I've been preaching this for a long time all over the place. And a few months ago, I was asked to go preach at Holdenville, Oklahoma. You've never heard of it? I've lived there my whole life and I've never heard of it. All right? So they call me like, hey, we're having this big youth explosion. We want you to be the keynote speaker. It's going to be awesome. You're going to go on at 9:30 at night. There's a lot of bands before you. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I drive like 3 hours there on a Saturday. I'm preaching the next Sunday at another church. I get there. It's like 114 degrees outside. I sit there, set up my stuff. I'm ready to preach. I'm sweating. There's like white rapper after white rapper after white rapper. Like, I get it, but if you want good rap, you got to be black. Like, these guys, no, like, NF is good. But I'm saying these guys, we're not that good. Okay, so we're out there and we're jamming and it's great. And 9 o'clock comes and goes. 9:30 comes and goes. 10 o'clock comes and goes. There was like 300 people there when we started. Now there's like 15 or 20. They've not one time on the microphone said, we have a speaker tonight. Kelly K's here tonight. Nothing. Not a one. So now my attitude has severely changed. I'm no longer excited to be there. In fact, I'm rather upset. I'm about to go talk to the lady and say, hey, I'm out of here. I got a 3-hour drive tomorrow. I'm preaching somewhere. This is not what you told me. I'm going to go ahead and leave. And God said, no. You're here because I brought you here. So you just sit and wait. I was like, okay. All right, I'm going to stay. Still working on my attitude. Finally, it's like 10:45. They've already shot off the fireworks and finished it. And they're like, oh, I forgot we have a speaker. Kelly K is up. Everyone's like already walking out the door. They like turn to look at me like this. Okay. So they kind of, no one even sits down. They kind of just stand there. And the guy's like, hey man, can you preach for just like 10 minutes? I had like a 45-minute sermon ready, you know? I was like, okay, sure. So I get up there, I don't even know what I said, just whatever God put on my heart. And at the end, I just asked, is there anybody here that wants to meet and accept Jesus for the first time? There's one guy. Raised his hand. And in that moment, God said, you see,
wow,
it was worth it.
That's right, yes.
It was worth it. Who knows what that guy's going to do? That might be the guy that reaches his whole city. That might be the guy that starts a revolution that changes the world. And me staying was all it took for him to finally see Jesus.
Amen.
You never know what your time with one person is going to do. That investment of something so small may be the biggest miracle that ever happens in their life.
Amen.
Don't ever underestimate one person. I know we all want to change the world. And it seems so big. Revolution always starts with one. It only takes one. When you guys go out there today and you're going to be in groups and you say, oh, it's just one person. No, go talk to them. Go talk to them. At our very first conference, and I'm going to close with this. There was a group, we sent everybody out, and there was a couple of kids that stayed, younger kids, and I was like, well, come on, I'll talk to you guys some more. And I told a couple of other healing stories like the one I told you. And this little boy raised his hand. He said, hey, Mr. Kelly, how many people have you healed? I said, 0, bro. I said, but Jesus will heal anybody. And it don't take me praying for him. You can do it too. Like, that's all I said to this guy, right? That's it. We went on about our day. The next day, on our website, see, the cool part about our website is it's not just a video telling people about Jesus. The rest of the site is full of stories of people who have handed out those cards, of people who have got them. showing all the things that God is doing in their lives. There's a whole section of our website just called Share Your Story. And it's not to say, hey, look what we're doing. It's to say, hey, look what Jesus is doing.
Amen.
Right? So we can be an example on how to love like Christ. So the next day I get an email and I look, and it's a story, and I see a picture. And I see this lady, like with a walker, sitting at a picnic table with some youth around her, and there's that little boy with his hands on her. The dude is just praying for healing for this lady. I just said, I can't heal nobody. Jesus can. You can too, bro. I wasn't trying to be sincere and teach him a big lesson. I was just saying what's natural to me. And he took it and went out and used it.
Yes.
I don't know what happened with that lady down the road, but I guarantee her life is never going to be the same from the day that little boy prayed for her. I guarantee you, his life is never going to be the same because he knows I can pray for anybody.
Amen.
So can you. When you go out today, if you see one person, do not discredit them. They may be there because they're waiting for you. And you have an important job to do. We may not all be preachers, teachers, and missionaries, but if we would all just go out and love people because Jesus loved us, we would see our world change.
Amen. Yes.